Hey everybody, this is Amy Coleman'sberger, and happy summer to you. I feel like I haven't been on a live in a while, so I feel totally rusty right now. I think my last live that I did on how to own your life this summer, and I'm hoping that some of those tips really helped you navigate your summer or think through how to live your summer proactively and how to live it well. Today I wanted to talk about how to deal with overwhelm in your everyday life. And for those of you that don't know me, let me go back. My name is Amy Coleman'sberger. I'm a mother of 6. I home educate. I blog at middlemercies.com, where I offer women in the middle years of life and faith and parenting some hope and some encouragement and an invitation to rest. So I have been doing Facebook Lives. Hey Victoria, hey Melissa, hey Crystal. I have been doing a series of Facebook Lives over the last few months on different things, from planning to your capacity doesn't equal your calling, to owning your life this summer, to things that I keep in my car. So you can go to my timeline page and you can click on videos and you can find those there. So I'm going to dive right in, because invariably I always think that I don't have a lot to say, and then I do. So I'm just going to jump right into this. I have had one of the best summers that I've had in years. And I was telling a friend that this week, and I told Mike that, and I was trying to figure out why. And I realized that I've had the best summer because I haven't been overwhelmed. That's what it's been. And most of my summers, I live pretty overwhelmed. And this summer I didn't. And I really managed to live out my priorities this summer. And I really strive to have restful productivity. And that's really what's happened. And I realize that that's been the key for me not being overwhelmed, is restful productivity. And I'll go more into what I mean by that in a minute. Most of my summers, I completely live in denial and just kind of reacting and responding to my kids and to the environment. And, you know, granted, I've had a lot of babies and nursing babies and sleep deprivation, and that all feeds into it. But many summers, I just don't have any kind of plan. And I've believed a lie that to be restful means that you throw all plans to the wind. And that might be fine if you don't have kids, but if you have kids and you don't have any kind of plan, summer just starts stinking about, 14 days in. So this year I had a plan, and part of my plan was to rest, and that has happened. And I've just managed it well. So I wanted to share with you some of the things I learned this summer just about productivity and getting things done, and yet doing it in a restful way. And really, how do we want to live in the everyday? None of us want to live overwhelmed. It's the worst. We want to live present. I love Sean Aniqua's phrase, present over perfect. We want to live present with our family. We want to be engaged with our friends and with our spouses and with our kids. We want to live peaceful. We want to be creative. We want to be proactive. We want our homes to run halfway decent. That's what we all want, I would think, at least. That's what I want. I want to be present, engaged, peaceful, creative, and proactive. I do not want to live overwhelmed. And so I've been trying to figure out, what are the sources of overwhelm? And there are many sources of overwhelm. I'm going to share a couple, but then I'm going to hone in on one where we can take some action on it. Some sources of overwhelm are just sleep deprivation. If you are nursing a baby, or if you have toddlers who still get up in the night, sleep deprivation can make you feel overwhelmed. It just does. It kind of wreaks havoc on your emotions, and everything seems harder than it really is in real life. So if you are chronically sleep deprived, life will feel harder than it actually is. And I think that's something that we have to remind ourselves when we're sleep deprived, is that I'm probably feeling like life is worse than it actually really is. So of course my advice would be get more sleep, but easy for me to say, I don't have babies and toddlers anymore. But, you know, when I did have babies nursing, I would go to bed at like 8 o'clock and Mike would stay up and bring the baby to me at like 11. So at least I could get 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And so I think there's some creative ways where you can get more sleep if you're sleep deprived. Another source of overwhelm is hormones, PMS, health issues, all of that. You know, with hormones and PMS, we can try essential oils, progesterone cream, taking sugar out of our diet. Something that's helped me a lot when I feel overwhelmed just simply because I have hormones going is paring down my schedule the week of PMS. Keeping my commitments low, not scheduling appointments during that week, being mindful that my body is in a different energy level than it is during the first week of my cycle, and honoring that, honoring your cycle. And as Mike brilliantly says, during all the years that he's walked through hormones with me, ride the wave. He rides the wave, I ride the wave. We know that my emotions are usually not telling me the truth during that time. So we just kind of go with it and try to lean into it and not take it as the truth of our lives. So, you know, I got super teary a few days ago and I was PMSing. And I could have gone down this whole devolving rabbit trail thing of why am I sad? No, I just went, oh yeah, tears. Yeah, I'm PMSing. Ride the wave. Let the tears come. Don't overanalyze. Don't try to get yourself out of it. You know, keep going. So hormones are a thing. I'm not going to go deeply into that. Personality types. If you have a perfectionistic personality type, you get overwhelmed because you want all the things to be amazing and you feel like I can't make it amazing. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. And now I feel overwhelmed because I can't do it. And you have to, if you're a perfectionistic personality, you have got to surrender your unrealistic expectations. And you have to do good enough instead of perfect and being okay with that. This is where I tend to live. So I get overwhelmed with birthday parties because I want them to be meaningful and pretty and sweet and thoughtful, and I can create in my head this whole thing of what it needs to be, should be. There are no shoulds with birthday parties. Throw out paper plates, buy some pre-made cupcakes, you're done. Like, it doesn't have to be this big thing. And so I can make things this thing. So then I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm learning that it's just my unrealistic expectations and that I think that things can't be meaningful unless they are a certain aesthetic or a certain thing. And that is not true. That is a lie. The important thing is the people gathered around the person and celebrating the person. And if you can do the bells and whistles and add a little flair, great. That's so fun. It's so fun to express ourselves in that way and honor the person in that way, but it doesn't have to be that. So whenever I feel the anxiety rising for a birthday party, I go, uh-oh, red flag, putting too much pressure on myself, thinking it's got to be something that it's not. Back the truck up. How can I simplify? So your personality type can play into overwhelm a lot. I know that different Enneagram numbers, I think the 4 tends towards depression, the 1 tends towards depression. You know, depending on what your personality type is, this is something that you struggle with. You struggle with getting overwhelmed. I think 6s do too on there. So just know that about yourself, but don't let it steal your life and your joy and shut you down. So another source of overwhelm is finances. Kind of enough said on that one. If we're not facing our finances, if we don't know how much money we have, if we think we just overspent, if we're not opening our bills, we get overwhelmed. We have a lot of money flying out of our house right now this time of year with curriculum and tuition and birthdays. And this is the year that I've been the least stressed about it because we've faced it head on and we've had good conversations about it, and we're putting, what do you call it? We're giving every dollar a name. And we're making sure that we're spending our money in the places where the money has to go to. We're not eating out right now. We're not doing a bunch of fun stuff because we know our money has to have specific purposes. So finances. And another source of overwhelm is fear. I can't get it all done. It's all too much. We fear our day. Like I used to fear a lot when I'd wake up when my kids were little. Like I had 4 little ones, 7 and under, and I would just kind of wake up like I can't do it. Like I can't get it all done. It's all too much. And it was all too much. But you know what? It didn't need to all get done. That's the thing. It didn't all have to get done that day. Some things could get done that day. And I would always make my bare essentials: move the laundry forward, move the dishes forward, feed the people. That's about it. So if you can make sure that your family is clothed and fed and given some love and some hugs, those are the essentials. So anything beyond that, when you have little ones, is cake. So I had unrealistic expectations of how much I was supposed to all get done in a day when they were little. And I just made it much harder and bigger than it needed to be. And the last thing, and this is where I really want to hone in today, is a source of overwhelm, are open loops. And this phrase I learned from this book called Getting Things Done. Now, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. And a lot of the tips I'm going to give you today are from this book. It's written for business executives. He does mention homemakers in here, which I was like, amen, brother. I love seeing people mention homemakers as a legitimate job. Like, talk about women who are managers. We are managing an incredible amount of stuff. And so he does give shout outs to homemakers, and he thinks every homemaker needs to have their own desk, their own space that they run their mothership from. So I'm going to be giving you tips from that. But he talks about open loops. And open loops are all the ideas and upcoming events and things on our schedule and to-dos that must happen that are hanging out in our heads. And I'm going to talk about ways that we can stop that, because I think that even though I mentioned all these other ways that we get overwhelmed, and I think all of those things have some very real tools that you all can pursue and look into, I think our chronic low-level overwhelm in the dailiness is our minds. It's all the things that keep filtering through our minds that we need to get done, that we know need to get done, or we know something's coming up, and it's sitting there, and it causes this low-level anxiety and this low-level hum in us. And the result when we carry too much in our minds is, well, let me tell you what David Allen says. He says that, let's see, where's the quote that I wanted to share with you? He says that when we have a bunch of things in our minds, our mind will keep working on anything that's still in an undecided state. Your mind keeps spinning, and it reduces your capacity to think and perform. And there's a limit to how much unresolved things that your mind can take before it blows a fuse. And he talks about that our conscious mind is a focusing tool, not a storage space. And I really want you to think about that. We try to use our brains as a storage space to remember all the things. And he has shown through his research and through brain research that our mind is actually not that. It is a focusing tool, so that we can be present like we want to be and focused and get the work done at hand. But if we are trying to store everything up here, me too, Angie, I have so many blown fuses, girl. I'm right there with you. We think this is a storage place. It is not. He says that a big problem is your mind, because it's not a storage place. It keeps reminding you of things when you can't do anything about them. It has no sense of past or future. That means as soon as you tell yourself that you might need to do something and you only store it up here, there's a part of you that thinks that you should be doing that all the time. Everything you've told yourself you ought to do, it thinks you should be doing it right now. So that's why you get insomnia, is because the same thing goes in your head over and over and over again. And he says that our minds are for having ideas, not holding them. And I love this sentence. He says, because of the way the mind developed, it is brilliant at recognition, but terrible at recall. You can glance at today's calendar and in the course of a few seconds get a coherent sense of this day and its contents and context, but you'll have a terrible time trying to recall the next 14 days on your calendar from memory. You can't do that. So, if you are using your memory as your organizing system, as most everyone on the planet does, your mind will become overwhelmed and incompetent because you're demanding of it intense work for which it's not well equipped. Boom, drop the mic, I'm done. No, not really. But that's how I feel. That was a huge revelation to me. Y'all, our brains are terrible at remembering. And as we get older, we all know that our short-term, memory loss is like real. And you know that when you're sleep deprived, like it's even worse. With your hormones, it's even worse. Like you can't even remember why you walked into the next room. You got too much stuff going on in your head. So what happens? What are our responses when we're walking around with this overwhelmed buzz in our head? We go into escapism. We open our phone and scroll. We're trying to get out of our heads. We're so tired of the hum that it's like, oh, let me scroll. Who's doing something else? Who can show me a pretty picture on Instagram to get me away from this anxiety that I feel? Some of us will go shopping. That's how we deal with the hum. We'll just go spend a lot of money. It's like, I just want to go to Target. I'm overwhelmed. Let me go to Target. And I spend, $20 at the dollar spot in there because it's so cute. Some of us will go internet shopping. I go buy books on Amazon. I feel overwhelmed. Let me go buy a book. That'll solve all my problems. The internet, the phone, social media, cleaning. Sometimes we will clean. Now, sometimes I will debate that cleaning or taking a walk can kind of work out some things, some problems that we're mulling on sometimes, but it does not take care of all the things we know we're supposed to do. And so we think, I just don't even know, there's too many things, so let me wipe down my table. That's what I'll do. That's really not what we needed to do right then, but we're just trying to do something because our brain is saying, you've got to do something, you've got to do something. Yes, Sarah, eating. Totally, eating. I'll just go look and see what's in the fridge. Let me go see what's in the pantry. Where's my chocolate stash? In my room. Sometimes I go to reading fiction. I can just think, I can't deal with my life. Where's my book? That is all escapism. That is a reaction to the stress in our minds. That's not a proactive choice to rest. So all these things are not bad things when we do them from a very proactive, peaceful place. But when we're doing them because we're overwhelmed, we're just escaping reality. And some of us become very drill sergeant. We become very controlling. We know that there's so much to do, so we just start barking at everybody, which is what I do. I'm like, pick up your shoes. Go put your shoes in the shoe bucket. You, wipe down the table. I start having them do chores. It's just anything to get some chaos calmed down because it's my mind that's chaotic. Really, there's nothing bad happening in my environment. It's that I feel the chaos in my spirit and in my mind, and I'm taking it out through controlling things, through anger, through frustration, through distracting myself. And what I want to say about all that is that all of that is a form of denial. We're denying what actually needs to happen. We're denying the truth of our lives. We know that our lives need some attention. We know that there's lots of areas in our lives that need attention. Our mind is telling us that constantly. And we think, I don't want to face all that. I don't know what to do with all that. I'm just going to deny that it exists. I'm going to deny the truth of my situation. And so how can we face the truth of our lives? That's what I've been learning this summer. How can we live in the light, being exposed, exposing the issues in our lives in connection with God and others? I've been studying 1 John this summer, and it just talks about how God is in the light And he invites us into the light so that we can have fellowship with him, connection, dancing with he and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. It's supposed to be light and healing and wholeness and health. That's what the light does. We know that the light of the sun brings growth and health and vitality. But so often we're so scared of the light of our lives. We're scared to see what the truth of our lives are. We're scared to open the hidden closets. Not just emotionally, but like literally, like we're really scared to face the truth of our children's bedrooms, or we're scared, to face dinner every night. It's amazing how much we live in denial that dinner comes every night at 6 o'clock. It's never going away. Our children will want to eat every day, and all of a sudden at like 4:30 we act shocked that we have to fix something that people want to eat. That's living in denial of our lives, is those simple things. We live in denial that school starts in a month. We live in denial about our money. We're scared to look at it. We're scared to see what we need to pay. And so we try to escape, we try to deny. But truth is God's invitation to us towards freedom. You know the verse. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The truth always, always, always sets us free. And we just don't believe it. We think the darkness is like freedom, and hiding and denying, that's freedom. That's a false sense of freedom. It feels like freedom for about 10 minutes until we have to actually face the real things in our lives, and then it's more overwhelming because we've let it go too far. And so, this summer I shared on my blog that I have lived in denial with my gut issues for years. I haven't wanted to face the truth. Here's the truth, that for me to live well and to feel well, I can't eat like everybody else. Did not want to face that truth. I wanted to live in denial. So I kept eating like everybody else eats. And I was sick. I was so sick. I was getting more sick all the time. And I realized, why am I in denial over this? And it was fear. It was fear that I'd be all alone if I had to change my eating patterns, if I had a stricter protocol that I needed to do, that I'd be all alone, that I'd be lonely, that I wouldn't enjoy holidays, that I'd be disconnected. And so I would rather eat and be sick, which is so sad, than change my diet and feel like I was going to be alone and sad forever. So that was an example of me living in denial in an area. And here's the truth. The truth is that choosing to eat the foods that were making me sick is isolating. Who wants to have to go home early because their stomach feels so terrible, or you have to go find bathrooms? It's terrible. And joy and connection are found through the Holy Spirit, not through food. That was one of my lessons for this summer. So the truth set me free that, oh my gosh, I can honor where my body is right now. I can live in the truth of where my body is right now. And I can choose to eat things that don't make it sick. And that's not going to change the fact that I am loved, and that I can connect, and that I can have meaningful celebrations, all of that. So to find freedom from overwhelm, we need to live in the truth of our situations, because denial and all its little manifestations that I mentioned feed the overwhelm, not calm it. Okay, we think that it's going to calm the overwhelm. We think scrolling will calm us. We think shopping is going to calm us. We think those things, eating is going to calm us. And they don't. They start feeding the overwhelm, because we're getting farther and farther away from facing what we need to face. So the way to calm overwhelm is to face the truth of your life and your day and make a plan for it. That's my pitch for today, is to face the truth of your life, face your laundry, it's there, face your meals, face the details of your life, face your kids' birthdays, face that school supplies need to be bought, whatever it is, face the truths in your life, not just the emotional ones. I usually camp out on that area, but I think for today I'm talking more practical. Face the real, tangible, nitty-gritty things in your life, and you have to make a plan for it. So every day what we do, I'm going to give you 3 things to do. So if you have a pen and paper, grab it. If not, you can take notes later. So Every day we ask ourselves, what is the truth of my day? What do I have going on today? And it's better to look the night before to know what's happening in the day, but you need to know what's the truth of your day. And if you have not been paying attention to a calendar, or if you have all the things, again, like I mentioned, running up in your head, I encourage you to start a bullet journal like I talked about in one of my other Facebook Lives, I think called Sunday Night Planning. And when I say bullet journal, y'all, I mean spiral notebook from Target. Don't obsess, don't make it cute. It's called lines. Here's my notes for today. It's called lined paper. Spiral, I think, is easy because it folds back on yourself, folds back on itself. If you don't have a notebook, grab a piece of loose leaf paper and do a brain dump today of all the things that are running around in your head. You are not going to solve all these things today. You're not called to solve all these things today. You're just getting them out of your head because your brain is making you insane. Like I said, our brains were not meant to be organizers, okay? They are meant for, they're a focusing tool, not a remembering tool. And so that's where we've been getting hung up. So in order to stop having our brains being used for the ways that it should not be used, brains should not be used for recall. Like I said, what's that great quote that I said, not for recall, but for recognition? You want your brain to be in a space where it is in the present moment, able to come up with new ideas, to think creatively, to engage with your kids. It can't do that if it's constantly chattering with all the things. So today, for you to live more present today, less overwhelmed, you need to do a brain dump. So you just get out a piece of paper and you write everything down. You know, Luke's birthday's Sunday. Katie's birthday's in 2 weeks. School supplies, tennis shoes, pay such and such bill. It can be math book, start math with Will. Anything that has been filtering through my mind nonstop for days, get it all out on paper. You might have 300 things. You might have 10. You might have probably more like 20 to 50 things is what I would think. Like I'm looking out right now and the backyard got mowed. The front yard needs to be mowed. I'm going to write down, mow the front yard. Just all these niggling things rolling around in my head. So you're going to get it all out so that your brain can actually have a break. So that's the first thing is you're going to do a brain dump. In order to do it effectively, pull out your calendar in whatever form that you use it in, and you need to look at the next 2 to 4 weeks. And you're going to list those things in your brain dump because as we all know, time flies. 2 to 4 weeks is going to be here before you know it. So today, as you're doing a brain dump, pull out your calendar and go, what is in my next 2 to 4 weeks? Don't miss anything. Write it all on the brain dump, okay? This is the key to dealing with all these open loops, which is what he calls all these things in your head that are open. They're like open tabs on a computer. We are going to start learning to get those open loops down on paper and very slowly work through them so that they're done. So Mike and I have even started using that language with each other where I've asked him about something and I haven't gotten a response, and I'll say back to him, hey, that's an open loop for me right now. I keep thinking about it. Have you moved on that yet? And he'll say, sorry, I'm going to call today and I'll text you when I'm done. So we want to deal with our open loops. So your mind is going to continue to work on anything that's in an undecided state. Okay, your mind is a focusing tool, not a storage place. So I've got 3 birthdays coming up and I've got school starting. So I need to face that. That's the truth of my life. I need to not just say, oh, I know that's coming, but I'm just going to go to the pool today and read my book. That's just when I'm done with the pool in my book, I'm going to feel overwhelmed again. So the truth of my life is that I need to see that I have several birthdays and school coming, and I need to write down that those are coming, which I already have, and one step to move me towards those things, which I'll go over in a minute. So, would you rather buy the inevitable school supplies that you have to buy? You're going to buy the school supplies sometime in the next month. If you're in the South, we start August 15th or 14th, somewhere in there. Would you rather buy those school supplies in a proactive, restful weigh when the store is still well stocked, nobody's in there, and you have margin and your mind is clear? Or would you rather deny the fact that you need to buy school supplies and wait till 3 or 4 days ahead of time? Now you've got time pressure, you've got the deadline, the shelves are all picked over, it's chaos in there, you probably didn't find a few of the things, so now you've got to go to another store, you're grumpy and you're agitated and you're mad. Let's stop doing that, y'all. How many years have I done that? It's so stupid. Like, you have to buy the school supplies, so buy them now. The school supplies sections are so well stocked and pretty right now. Get first dibs. So, what you want to do is we're going to do the brain dump. We're going to look at the next few weeks. We're going to write all that out. What needs to happen? Yes, hungry. Agreed. No, yes, all of that. And we're going to say number 2 is you're going to ask yourself after you've made your big brain dump, what is my next action? And this is a question that he has seen change CEOs' lives. What is my next action? Because you just want to take one step towards getting your life manageable, clear, and current, okay? So if I wrote in my bullet journal, buy school supplies. Well, what's the next action with that? I can't just go show up in Target and buy school supplies if I haven't what? Printed the list from the internet or scoured through 3 of my kids' lists and written it all out exactly what I needed. That's step number 1, okay? So what he says is a project is anything that requires more than one step. So most of the things that you write down during your brain dump are going to be things that require more than one step. If it requires only one step and you can do it in less than 2 minutes, you do it then. You go ahead and start knocking some of those out. If it's less than 2 minutes, take 15 minutes and knock 7 of them out. What are you waiting for? But if it takes more than one step, say, okay, I don't need to be overwhelmed and do what Amy said and go buy my school supplies. But how can I move it forward a little bit? I can empty out the school boxes from last year. That's my first step. And I can throw away all the old pencils and all the crappy half-used colored pencils, and I'm just going to get their school boxes empty. That's it. That's your one step. And so when you review your page, weekly review, Sunday night planning, you can say, okay, I need to take another step on this. What's my next step? And then maybe you print your list then. And you do that night, and then 2 days later, you go shopping for the things. So you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to say, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed by school supplies. I don't even know what we already have. I don't know what we need. Break it down into smaller steps. What's my one next action? I need to get their school supplies bins emptied. Okay? And then I need to print the list off the internet. So you're trying to break down into smaller steps. So if you wrote down, I need new tires for my car, the first step wouldn't be to go buy new tires for your car. It would be, I need to call Goodyear and see when they can have me come in. Or I need to go online and research tire prices. That's your first step. Does that make sense? So next action, small. You can feel so good about yourself when you're taking one small actionable step. That's how you live less overwhelmed. It's overwhelming to see buy school supplies. It's overwhelming to see go get new tires. That's why we have to learn to say, okay, this is my project list though. So I don't have to get this whole thing done. I need to pick what's my next step, and then I need to write it down in my planner. So again, I've told you, you need to own a planner. You need to own a daily calendar. I'm not a fan of weekly ones where you have the double page spread and it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That might work for some of y'all. But I'm telling you, the difference I've seen in my life is when I have a whole page that's for one day. And I can write all over it. I can write, print the school list today. That's my one thing for getting back to school. I can write, wipe the top of my freezer today. In my laundry room, that's my one step for my laundry room today. You can write all over that page. You can write your meals. So that's my little plug for daily planners. Another idea that has really helped me this summer that I haven't done is use these big Post-it note sticky pads for these lists. So when you're thinking about your next actions, you've made your big bullet journal list, your big brain dump, and you've recognized that you've seen on there you have 30 things and you see 3 or 4 of them are phone calls that you need to make. You need to call the dentist and make an appointment for, Luke. So you take a sticky note and you're just going to write calls at the top. And you're going to batch all your calls on here, okay? So you're going to write call dentist for Luke, call Goodyear about tires. What's another thing I called about lately? Called to get Lily, she has to get some teeth pulled. My dog does. Call vet. So all my calls are on one sheet. So then when you get a little snatch of time, you grab your call sheets and you get all your calls done at once. This is so much easier on your brain. So the way that I've been doing it, which is not as effective, is I'll put like for Monday on my daily planner, call vet. Tuesday, call, whatever I said, the dentist. And I'm splitting up my phone calls throughout the week. Well, number one, I hate phone calling. So it's so much better if I take 15 minutes and get all the calls done at once. I'm done. I feel like I am absolutely Wonder Woman. Like she has nothing on me if I've gotten 5 phone calls done. So this is called batching. It's called batch working, and it's so much better for your brain because your brain gets in the zone and it knows what it's doing and it focuses. Again, it's a focusing tool, and it just methodically knocks them out. It takes you so much less time. You save emotional energy, and then when it's done, you're done. Throw it away. And if you're super anal and you love seeing check boxes in your planner, you can write in your planner that you did all those and check them off. Post-it notes are great for anything that has categories for your next actions. So you could put things to buy online. I don't know why I'm writing this out for you. You don't need to see it. Things to buy online. Things to look at online. I use it for my errands. I've started batching my errands. It used to be I'd run out every day or every other day. I'd run up to Target, come home. Run up to Aldi, come home. Well, my holds are ready at the library. Run to the library. Instead now, I write errands across the top, and I write down bank, library, Aldi, buy rotisserie chicken. Like all the errands go on one sheet, and I try to pick 1 or 2 days to get all the errands done. It saves me gas. It saves me time. It saves me emotional energy. It's much less stress on my family than when I'm running in and out, or taking them with me. So batching is a great way to take your main list, and when you look at your next action steps, think, do any of these go together? Can I group these together on a Post-it and get them all done at the same time? And again, you don't have to get them all done that day. What I do is I write errands on here, and I write all my errands, and then I take my planner out, and like for Wednesdays when we get paid, and so I'll take the errands page and I'll just stick it on Wednesday's day. So when I flip in my planner to Wednesday, I see, oh yeah, I'm running errands, and there they all are. They're all laid out for me, so I can just grab it and go. I'm not having to recreate the wheel every day. So what's my next action? Last thing. Oh, other examples. Phone calling, errands, online research, online purchasing, social media. If you're a blogger, blog things to get done, chores you want to get done that day. Batch work keeps your mind focused on one activity, and so you're faster, more efficient, and you have less stress. Last thing, and I'll try to be quick because I know I've been on here a while, is weekly review and plan. He talks about this in the book. Again, I'm talking about the book Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by David Allen. And he says you've got to have a weekly review. And this is what I shared with you in another Facebook Live, Sunday Night Planning. This is the time that you're getting clear on your life and you're working towards getting current, which means less overwhelm and more control and more creativity. Again, our goal is that we want to be present, engaged, creative, clear thinking people. We don't want to be harried and overwhelmed and biting and rude and impatient and stressed. And as moms, we are, because we're carrying it too much in our heads. We've got to stop treating our brain like an organizer and recognize that it's not, and we've got to start using paper. And if digital works for you, great, but I am old school, and there's something about pen to paper that really helps the brain recognize that this is now out of my brain. I can let go of it now, and your brain then is at rest. You know, it's been shown that even if the person doesn't complete the task that they wrote down, just the act of getting it down on paper makes the brain think that it's been done. It's been taken care of. That's huge, y'all. So even if you shy away from productivity plans or topics of this nature, at least get the crap out of your head, because when you do, your brain will think that it has accomplished so much. And you've given your mind a break, and you've put it all on paper, and then you can refer to it in your weekly review. So during your weekly review, I like to do it on Sunday nights. Him as a working professional does it on Friday afternoons before he leaves the office. He does his weekly review. He looks at the next week, and he knows what's coming. He goes ahead and writes down his batch work that he needs to do, and you're just getting clear. You're getting clear on your life. You're being honest about where your life is and what it needs. You're getting current on it. And y'all, I have been using these tips now for maybe 6 weeks or so, and I'm not a magic bullet person. I've told y'all this, but there's some good stuff here. This is just good, applicable neuroscience, how our brains work, and helping our brains work better, and therefore our emotions work better, and all of that. So during your weekly review, you're going to look at that big brain dump that you made, and you're going to say, where am I on this? How can I move these forward? And then you're going to take those things, and you're going to pick different days in your planner to knock them out. Maybe pick 3 things a day. I wrote a blog post years ago about that, just about how our days are like a plate of food, and if we try to do too much, you feel sick. And so a plate normally holds 3 portions, a meat, a veggie, and a starch. And so 3 things. What are 3 things that I can get done in my day? So look at that master list and think, how can I move the ball forward? So, going back to the school supplies thing, I have made my list of school supplies of what my kids need, and I have actually cleaned out their bins, but I haven't bought them yet. So that's my thing to do tomorrow, is I'm going to go school supply shopping. And I feel so good about it because I have written down in my bullet journal exactly what Henry needs, what Luke needs, what Will needs. It's all there, and I'm just going to take my bullet journal into Target with me and knock it out. So I hope something in here was valuable to you. He says in his book, some people just take away from his book the 2-minute rule. If you can do something in less than 2 minutes, do it then. Knock it out. Other people take away what is the next action step. That's the thing that they take away. For me, it was the recognition that I have too many open loops, and that my mind is a focusing tool and not a storage place. That is revolutionary to me. So write everything down. Honor the way that your brain is made. Let it be freed up to be how you want it to be, which is focused and creative and engaged. And, repent. Let's all just repent of the ways that we just live in denial and escape, and that God is inviting us into something better. And He's inviting us into freedom. And it's not just, in my mind, spiritual freedom, emotional freedom, but I think He wants us to walk in this tangible daily freedom. I don't think He wants us to live bogged down with all these details and these weights and all of that. And so I think He gives people like, David Allen and productivity gurus the brilliance to understand how He's created our brains and simple tools that we can use to make our lives just run so much smoother and happier. And all of these are just tools to serve us so that we can love and serve others. So get you a planner, get you a notebook, and get you some sticky notes. And I pray that will help with some of the daily hum and the daily overwhelm. So if you have any questions or comments or anything, I'm going to go through and read them at the bottom. And let me know what's helpful, or how I can help in any way. And I'll be back soon. I want to talk again soon before we get into the school year. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about yet, but I want to do that. So y'all have a lovely Tuesday.